Very similar. We went live really early today, and it was good. And we had most of the crew there. McCall was still out. I guess he's got to go get an MRI. But today, he just got a little fluid in his knee, but I think he'll be okay. He's had it kind of coming and going a little bit for a while. But the rest of them, they're there. We kind of put the top 7 guys there. Tried to look at multiple lineups. Look at the really big. It was kind of one of the first times we got to look at the really big with OG and Pascal at the 2-3 and Serge and Mark at the 4-5. It's interesting. It's got needs some polish, but it looked interesting enough.
What would the strengths of that group be?
Well, I'm hoping they should. Obviously have some great length out there, Doug. I think that we ought to be able to protect the paint pretty well, rebound it pretty well. And we probably can exploit some mismatches on the low block if we can find them.
Would you end up shooting though, or ball handling, or
well, I think it's a good question, and obviously something you would look at. I think we get away with it just because of how well the 4 and 5 shoot. You know what I mean? I think they might be second and third on the 3-point shooting of those guys, but I don't know. OG shoots a pretty high percentage, right? And Pascal hopefully will continue to improve his percentage as well.
Do you look at post entries as an opportunity to score or as an opportunity to facilitate after
yeah,
post entry?
Mostly the second one.
Yeah.
I think that it's unless you got somebody real dominant down there that can draw a good share of fouls, I think the numbers will say that it's not as high percentage a shot as you think it might be, right? Unless you're getting to the free throw line at your share.
You were experimenting at this time of the year last year, and you didn't know you had so many different ways you could go. How much further ahead are you in terms of how well these guys know each other and all those little things that chemistry and familiarity bring?
We're certainly, I think we're way ahead in some areas. Just like when we get the crew out here that's been here together, there's just so much of the playbook that I can go to that I couldn't have done a year ago at this time, right? There's just so much that they know. I'll call, hey, you guys remember when we ran? They're like, yeah, boom, and they're out there running it. And I think that's huge end of game wise too. When you're reviewing some of that stuff. And what that really does for you, which is we saw a lot today, is interesting. Is like I had that big lineup out there, and we were just running a sideline out of bounds play, but we ran it like 4 different times, and we changed positions 4 times, and everybody knew how to execute it there. And I just think that if you can do that, move your pieces like that, it's hard to scout that stuff, right? So I like it. Yeah, I just think that they know, they know they've seen it enough, they've been through it enough to even know how maybe not even where they're used to playing if they have to slide over a spot, and they were kind of doing it on their own. Mark was just like, hey, sir, just switch, I'll play the 4, you play the 5, and Pascal and OG were like, I'll take it out, you don't take, it was kind of neat to watch. So I like that part of it too. To answer your question.
Yeah. Is that because of 24 playoff games and all those meetings and all those film sessions, etc.?
Yeah.
Because your team wasn't all that much together for all that long during the regular season. Right?
Yeah, I think that extra 2 months is huge, right? It's because of such a high level you're having to concentrate at, not play at, film work, walkthroughs, just all that stuff is such a high level. It's really I think it's really a benefit to get to play those extra 2 months.
Between that and the fact that you played 22 games or whatever it was without Kawhi last year, how close to an identity do you think you have as a team already?
I think we kind of know who we are. I think we know who we are. I think I think the best thing that we learned last year was that if we're really good defensively, it can take us a long ways, and I think our guys understand that. So I think there's a lot of buy-in here. There's not a lot of begging here for us to get them to play defense. Now, we're gonna have to, it's always some of that going on defensively all year long, but I think they understand that, and I think that's a first stepping stone when you're going to be a good defensive team. And and I think offensively we know we got to share the ball, and I think we will share the ball. I don't see any issues there. I think, you know, you mentioned those games we played without Kawhi. The ball, we popped that thing around pretty good, and all those kind of things. And I think our guys understand that as well. I mean, we'll see. The bright lights come on Tuesday. We'll see what our identity looks like.
Has it helped in terms of that defensive mindset that you've brought in defensive-minded guys? So in addition to the guys that have been here that know the identity, it's also got Rondé
Nope.
and Stanley.
Nope. Those guys. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but those guys have not understood A, how hard we play, B, our schemes, that defense is a priority for them, etc. We got some work to do with all that crew. I tell them there's a couple spots. You know, come Tuesday night, there's a couple spots there open if somebody wants them, and I keep telling you that. Show me you're going to play defense. Show me you're going to play hard. Show me you understand our coverages. Show me how, and then whatever you do at the other end, you're going to get opportunities just because who you're on the floor with, and they'll come to you. You don't have to come down and occupy your 95% of your mind with how you're going to break down and get your next shot. It's not going to get you on the floor right now. So we've got some work to do. We've got to find who's going to blend in quickly defensively with this crew.
So what is that? Because, I mean, those guys come here with at least a reputation of being defensive players. Is it just about kind of fitting into the newness of a different team, or?
Well, a lot of it's just all about what I just ran through with you, right? I think that a lot of it comes down to role, right? And if you come in with offense occupying, that's how you think you're going to get on the floor, you're going to not play defense very well. Just kind of trying to flip the mindset around a little bit. And there's some flashes of it, but not enough consistency, and I don't know who those guys are going to be yet.
Hey, what have you seen from Fred now that his hips better, he's had a summer off? What have you seen from him, and what do you expect from him?
Well, he's been great, Doug. I mean, absolutely great in the preseason. He's, continues to amaze me with how he gets to the rim. Right, I don't know how he heads down there and all of a sudden it's a layup. His shooting looks to be even more improved and even deeper. He's obviously a great leader and a great defender. He's been A+.
He came through such a hard time in that Philly series, and then Milwaukee, the first couple games, sort of spotty. What's that sort of do for your confidence in him going into the season?
Well, I think the biggest thing, Doug, we learned is that as a team, him and Kyle were really good the last half of the playoffs together, right? I got, if you want me to open my heart and soul here to you, there was times early in the playoffs where I didn't know I'd get away with playing those two guys together because it wasn't going that well, and we were getting hurt on some mismatch size-wise. We weren't being able to switch some because there was lots of things going on, and so I've put that to bed, and I have confidence that those two guys can play together. And I give them a lot of credit because they started taking people down. Like shots were going up, and Fred and Kyle, they're moving some big bodies off the floor to not let them rebound, right? And that's good. Right, that they do that, and it's not only good because I talked to one of our younger players today. I talked to Terrence Davis, grabbed Patrick Mutombo. I said, Pat, go grab a bunch of clips of Fred and Kyle blocking out these monsters, because why can't Terrence has got strength and size, and he's got to go down there and hit these people and learn how these guys use their leverage, they use their legs and their ass a little bit and drive those guys out of there. Mostly it's just determination. And it's another thing, back to your question, Josh. These guys got to learn to play a little harder, right? They think they're playing hard. They got to learn to play a little harder. And that's another thing we learned from those 2 months in the playoffs, how hard to play. Yep.
So it's all the same question.
We're just talking to everybody.
Nick, has it ever come up at all, the fact that once Kawhi left, people being a lot of experts, a lot of people around the league kind of wrote you guys off a little bit? I mean, is that something you've addressed at all this training camp, in terms of let's show somebody that it wasn't a one-man show?
I mean, I know it's up and comes up, and people talk about it a lot, right? All these preseason shows and all that stuff going on hasn't really hasn't hit our meeting room or our floor. You know, we don't sit around and say, you know, hey, come on, let's really show them. You know, it just doesn't happen. I think we just try to. I mean, I think there's a certain level of confidence. I think our guys have a certain level of confidence to play, and I think that's one thing this team's done good is we focus on who we are not who we are not. Right? We get on the floor and we try to guard you and move the ball on offense and just play as well as we can play. And you got to have that mentality, right? Because as you guys saw last year, guys are in our lineup, out of the lineup, and there's just no time for excuses. You go out there and you play, and I haven't heard anybody say anything about that.
There are, though, one would suggest certain guys on this roster who tend to look at these perceived slights and you know, take it to heart, and that should channel the team in a certain way. Agree or disagree?
Well, I mean, I think so. I think that you know, I think that there's certainly an opportunity here, you know, but you know what, like, you know, if we come out 13-4, something like we did a year ago, and it just doesn't mean that much, right? You can't say, yeah, see, say we're doing it without, you know, we're doing it anyway, or whatever. And if you come out the other way, you know, again, it's like they're not awarding too many things here. And I follow other sports. There's a team that's playing in the World Series that didn't start off so hot this year, but you know, you keep playing. It's we're going to go out there and we're going to play as well as we can play Tuesday, right? And it's going to be the first small step in building the team to get as good as they can get and reach their potential come playoff time.
What signs have you seen from Pascal that suggest he's ready to either maintain or exceed the level?
I mean, I think it's we've been giving him a lot of freedom in practice, right, to do a lot of things. And a lot of that looks a little clunky at times, right? But, you know, when the ball went up in Tokyo, he was pretty tough, right? He was pretty tough, and they didn't really have any answers for him. So I've seen, again, he's a really important member of the team. I think he plays as a really good teammate. You know, he's got energy, he guards, he's passing. And I think there'll be a lot of, you know, his game will change a little bit. You know, I think if he's playing at the 3, he's probably going to get some mismatches inside. If he's playing at the 4, he's going to get some mismatches off the bounce. And I think you'll see a little bit more moving from one to the other this year, depending on how we use him.
I think you guys were the #1 3-point shooting team after the Gasol trade. With the change in personnel and the way this roster is constructed, does that alter the type of shots you want this team to chase?
No, I don't think so. I think that we're still going to be a pretty high volume 3-point shooting team, and I think that you know, I said this a bunch last year. The reason that those percentages went up was I think there was a full second, or there were just more open looks, right? We were creating more space, making an extra pass, whatever it was, and I say that the look that you get is going to raise the percentage or lower it, right, depending on that. And I just thought, again, if we can create those same looks, I don't know if we can, but that's what we're going to try to do. And we certainly, with all our guys that are going to be out there, they're going to all be shooting them. There won't be a guy out there that's turning them down that I know of yet. We'll see how it goes, but we'd like to have everybody shoot them.